I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Just looking if there's like a theme.
Like family vacation.
Welcome back to another episode of Oops the Podcast. We'll join Giulio in a moment, but right now let's have a moment of reflection. Let's have a moment of memory. Let's have a moment together. I want you to close your eyes and think about a vacation that you went on with your family. And if you didn't go on a vacation with your family growing up, think about your friend that did go on vacation and try to live and remember vicariously through them. You smell the palm trees, you see the palm trees, and now you're on the beach. The wind is blowing and the sand is between your toes, and the ocean wave is falling on top of itself, like a basket of towels that were stacked too close to the tippy top, leaning over and falling onto itself, just like those waves I was talking about. Think about that as that, with that. Now there's a man behind you. You don't know him. He has a camera. Your parents are gone. He starts running towards you. You run too. You run. You run. He's gaining on you. Welcome back.
What the fuck? Lynch, very nice.
Just a creepy guy.
I was like, I wonder what's happening. I was like, is there a misunderstanding here? Oh, you dropped your phone. Oh, thanks, creepy man. Thank you, Lynch. Very nice. Meditation. I was really in it for a second.
I'll come next week with a better one. How are you?
I enjoyed that, Lynch. I'm good. I have a question for you, Lynch.
Shoot.
What do you think about this scenario? So I ordered a package. I ordered some shit a while ago. Okay. Now I had a credit, so I didn't really care that much about this order, but I was like, oh, this stuff can be like Christmas gifts maybe. So I'll just like buy this shit and then I'll figure out who I'm going to give it to. So I did that, and a couple months go by, and I actually just really recently realized, I'm like, I was looking around the house. I'm like, where is that stuff I bought? And I'm like, did I ever get it? It theoretically is one of those things where I could have gotten it and not opened it because it just like wasn't that important. And like I said, I didn't pay for it. And I'm like, where is that? And I never end up finding it. I then look at the tracking to make sure that it was delivered. It was. I look closer and they take a picture showing that they've dropped it off. Now the picture is in front of the wrong building. Now we live in a thing that's like 3 conjoined apartments that all look the same, and it's not clear which door is which door. So a lot of the times what will happen is if I have delivery, if I don't say meet me at the door, the person will leave it in front of the wrong door. And then I'll notice they've done that, and I'll go check and I'll find it, and then I'll bring it home. So it's not crazy that this could happen, but I don't think I ever got this package. But 2 months have gone by. I went and knocked on the door of the people. There's no way they still have it. Our neighbors are pretty like reasonable people. And if they had the package, they would have definitely brought it over. I think they weren't home when I knocked. I'll probably go knock again. I emailed the company. They haven't responded yet. I don't really know what to do.
The package thieves have really taken over the city as of late.
So all I'll say is package theft is unusual here. And the way that they put the package, I would say that is the least likely scenario. They put it behind this. There's like almost no way somebody stole the package.
Yeah.
Is my reply to that. Agreed, package thieves are a thing.
Well, the reason why I mentioned that is that these companies are taking the precaution of taking photos of the packages when they are delivered as proof to fight against anybody that complains about a package not being delivered, and then absolving the responsibility to replace the product for free.
Right.
And so they take the photo. No, I put it there. And so now you need to rely on the excuse of somebody stole it in case it goes missing. And so Amazon and the big companies, like they understand that packages get stolen, and they usually send you whatever you lost or whatever went missing without hesitation. But that's the mindset of a few years past. And now people are taking advantage of it, and people are saying something wasn't delivered when it was delivered. And so now they got their guard up. And so you need to go through you need to check off a couple boxes to ensure that you're getting something back. So let's look at one of them. 1, respond right away. You didn't do that. It took 2 months to respond. I think that's the most important thing. I don't know if they're going to help you out and replace the packages.
Yeah, because I don't know the specifics on this. Like, I don't know if that's true. It seems to make sense, but I don't know for sure.
It's not in policy, but it's been case by case. Victoria has had $500 dresses stolen, and that is still being resolved. It's a process. It's a problem.
Is it on the shipping company or the company itself?
It's one of those things where you don't know. The company tells you to call the shipping company tells you to call the company, and then it's just this vicious cycle of phone calls that becomes the burden to the person that's the victim of theft or lost package.
Right. Well, I have a photo that shows that they put it in the wrong place, in the wrong building, in front of the wrong building.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's helpful for me, but again, does that fall on the shipping or the company? And it's sounding like you're saying it's a case-by-case thing.
Yeah. I just think having the photo, having it be at the wrong location, that's very helpful. But I think waiting 2 months, I feel like they'll be able to like weasel out of replacing it for you.
So Amazon typically has a really nice runway for that kind of stuff. Like you have a lot of time to return shit. Dude, this is crazy. I bought something for Hillary that was the wrong thing. I bought her a book and it was the wrong book. And I went to return it and Amazon was like, just keep it. I got to just keep I think I like donated the book, but like, I've never heard of that. Yeah, it's fine. Don't say, like, just keep it.
Isn't that nice? That's how rich Amazon is. Just keep it.
Just destroying the competition, which was Jeff Bezos's plan. He's like, to the investors, he's like, this company won't be profitable for a long time, but we will outspend our competitors to the point where we crush them all.
Yeah.
And, I want us to support small businesses, but how easy Amazon is, dude, it's hard to. You know what I mean?
It's so easy with them.
Yeah.
And Whole Foods, it was interesting. Once they bought Whole Foods, they went out of their way to keep all of the prices consistent across all locations around the country.
Wow.
So that they'd be cheaper than maybe your local ShopRite or Stop and Shop, at least enough to get people to just commit to going there. And they definitely took a loss with that. But now everyone goes to Whole Foods.
Right. And across everything that they own, is it a loss? Like it's hard. You know what I mean? I wonder, once you're in such a big, which is interesting, like money is a relative thing in this weird way. Like it is about perspective to some degree. Like I spent this much, I'm in this much debt, like all those things. But like there are ways to look at it differently, which is interesting. And I wonder if sort of the most successful entrepreneurs have that naturally, have the innate ability to sort of like see the big picture or whatever,
Yeah. Like Amazon is the market.
Right.
Like they can charge they can make butter cost $3 less than every other grocery store.
Right.
And like they won't take a loss the same way that Stop and Shop would if they were to try to do that.
Totally.
Because it's fucking Amazon.
Totally, dude. Pretty wild.
Yeah. How do we get here?
I was talking about the package.
Oh yeah, the package, Amazon big. Yeah.
It was not an Amazon package, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But a big enough company that we'll see what happens. I mean, I emailed them on Cyber Monday, so I'm assuming they're backlogged. They're probably busy, but I'm curious to see what they say.
How much money was everything worth in that package?
$50. I think it was probably $60 total, and I had a $50 credit. So it's really no skin off my back ultimately, which is part of the reason why I probably fell through the cracks. Here's another important thing. There is a chance that the package is somewhere in the apartment and that I just forgot. I put it somewhere and I'm like, all right, well, I'll pull this out when da-da-da-da-da happens. It'll be interesting to see if I get this whole thing resolved and then a month later I find it somewhere in the apartment.
Yeah. But didn't you say that in the photo you could tell that it wasn't your apartment?
Yes.
So how could it be in the apartment?
Because it was the apartment next door. Like,
oh.
So it's three apartment buildings that are all that look exactly the same. So it's easy for someone to drop it off at the wrong one, but it's still, there's 9 units. So like
your neighbor would just,
if my neighbor's thing is on mine, I bring it to theirs.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let us know what happens.
I will. I'll let you know if there's any updates there.
Yeah.
So dude, when I went on family vacation, with Hillary's family. We went to Turks and Caicos. I don't know if you can tell that I'm sun-kissed.
A little bit.
Ever so slightly. It was great. I had never been on something like that. I'm trying to think, like, I've been taken on vacation before, but it always felt like there was some caveat. Like, this was maybe the first time where I've been taken on a trip with the family where there wasn't some expectation or where I didn't feel like a second-class citizen, if that makes sense. Like, a couple things come to mind. So a friend of mine and I used to travel together, and his parents would pay for us, which was amazing. Now, I guess when it was just me and him, it's different. But there were times where we traveled with his mom or his parents. And like, I always felt, and I was a little older, so I always felt like there was this expectation that I would like look out for everybody, or like, I don't know. It just didn't feel, and it probably was no strings attached, but it just didn't feel that way for whatever reason. Maybe it's just me. So there was that. And then I had a girlfriend one time who would really just kind of do as she pleased with me, which felt shitty. Like, I went down with them for vacation. She started to like, I think just like not want me there or something. It was this weird thing. She was younger too. And like, it was very immature behavior, but like during the trip, she started to feel distant. And then her sister was like, hey, like, this has nothing to do with you, but like, we kind of want it to just be family. Like, you know, if you don't mind, like going back a couple days earlier. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. Which, as I say that out loud, it had to be the girl was like getting the ick or something. So I went back early. I think we flew down private to go down there, and then they flew me back on a flight, like whatever. And then like 3 days later, she changed her mind, and her dad called me. He's like, hey, do you want to like come back?
Come back?
And I went back, dude. I know, simp behavior. I look back on it and cringe, but it was just such a great opportunity. And like at this point in my life, like I hadn't ever done this type of travel, and it was just so cool. You know, I just grew up around normal people. Like I never did anything like this. It was so extravagant. It was so sick. I was like, I want to do this. Like, I'm going to go back. You know what I mean? Which is probably part of the reason why the vibes were so off. Like, I would drop everything to go do stuff with them because it was so cool. And it made it hard for me to like have my own life. It was almost this weird thing where I'd get home and I would have nothing. I'd be back in my shitty apartment and I'd be like, I have no identity. I have nothing going on for myself. It was weird. So anyway, so there's those two things. So anyway, this was like,
not that.
This was not that. That all probably sounds so sad to you guys listening. But this was just like family vacation with Hill Dog and her fam. It was cool to get to go someplace new. As you guys all know, I'm OCD with all this stuff. And the Turks and Caicos, while it's not a country, I have another ongoing list of the Traveler Century Club, which designates beyond countries. There's 190 something, depending on who you ask, countries in the UN, whatever. But the Traveler Century Club has 331 destinations on it. So it's like the countries plus territories plus islands plus, you know, Commonwealths, like all that different stuff. So like, for example, in the Traveler Century Club, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and Alaska are all their own individual thing to add to the list, along with the contiguous United States.
Okay.
So it's 4 instead of being 1, if that makes sense. So on the countries list, Turks and Caicos wouldn't count, but for the Traveler Century Club, it counts. Great, exciting. You know, beautiful weather, beautiful beaches. Like, what a great thing. And it was so fun. Had the best time. And shout out, like, this is a thing about her family too, which makes it nice. Like, no part of me was like dreading being with her family all week. They're chill, they're easy. Like, there's no expectations. You can just do whatever you want. Like, it was really nice. And I just sort of like leaned into the pacing that they like to have on their trips. I didn't like go out of my way to like try to do what I specifically would do. I was like, all right, this is great. Like, this is nice that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to plan. I get to just go and relax, and it's low stakes, and I'm not trying to like cram in a million things. And it was amazing. Played a bunch of pickleball, chilled. Weather wasn't that great for the first half of the trip, which Hill Dog like gets really negatively affected when the weather isn't good in a way where it just is like a bummer. She's just like tired. Bummer for her. So I kind of felt bad for her because I think most people are like that. I'm not. Like, I'm kind of like, all right, whatever. This is still great. I think she thought it was great too, but like she would have liked the weather to be amazing, and it eventually became amazing. So I think everybody had a great time. The baby was there, which was really fun. This is her sister's baby, and we just had a great time, dude. Great meals, good chilling. It never really got testy. There's always that fear that like if you're on a trip, like at some point you're gonna fuck up or like someone will get snippy with you and it'll be like this thing that haunts you. I mean, none of that. So I survived without any sort of negativity coming out of it. All positive, all solid. Love to see it.
That's marriage. You married into a great family.
I know. Love to see it, right?
Good man.
So I feel very lucky to have been able to do that. And especially on the heels of the wedding, like that sort of doubled as a mini moon, dare I say. The term mini moon feels very extravagant to me because it's like, who are you to have multiple moons? But it worked out perfectly timing wise. It was her parents' birthday. It was like a special occasion. They were the same age. And they took us all down and it was amazing. So a great way to kind of get to refresh and reset after the big wedding and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's great. Nice. What was the most delicious thing you ate? What was your favorite meal?
That's a good question. There was just a lot of like cool, fun seafood stuff. There was this like Dominican style paella thing that I had that was really good. Sushi was really good. Like the food was solid. It was really good. You know what I mean? So like for the most part, all the meals were cool and it was fun to like go to the different restaurants. We would go to some different spots at night around the island. That was really, really fun. And it was just great, dude. It was great to just get to chill.
Good for you. I'm glad the timing worked out.
Yeah.
And you were able to do that.
I felt refreshed too. Like coming back, like I had a lot of energy. Like I didn't feel burdened by all the bullshit. And I think I've maybe talked about this a little bit, but like in the upcoming year, I'm trying really hard to just focus on being creative and not being confined to algorithm stuff. I'm just kind of like trying to not worry about it. And if my shit doesn't rip on a particular app, like I just kind of don't care. That's going to be my goal. It's easy to say, but you know, I've been doing this long enough that like, I think that there will be enough opportunities that come in that I'll like be fine. We still have the pod, this and that. And if, you know, my TikTok is shadow banned, like I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
If I'm not getting auditions, I don't fucking care. If my agents aren't getting me all the road dates I want, whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. I'm going to go hard on the video shit. I'm excited to do all that. We're investing a bunch of money in gear and like just planning to allocate toward that and like also manifesting. Like I'm planning to do a shoot this summer that's going to be paid for in Africa, which I'm super stoked about. So like that was sort of on the heels of the Anthem Awards, that conversation started up. That same person is also going to help cover some expenses for some of my other international shoots, like covering some of the flights. So like great to have some backing. And then, you know, this Alaska trip, I'm going to shoot some stuff. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to shoot some national park stuff. So doing all the things that I've set out to do, and it's easy to say you're going to do stuff. It's another thing to actually do it. And I'm proud of the fact that I've been a doer.
Yeah.
In that category.
Huntington Learning Center, saying it and doing it are two different things.
Amen, brother. This holiday season, Lynch, I want to give a gift to my loved ones that makes them feel special and unique, just like the relationship we share.
It's beautiful.
That's why I'm giving everybody that I care about Storyworth. Storyworth is a really cool service that basically, when you gift this to somebody, for the following year, they will periodically receive emails with question prompts that they then can fill out as detailed or not as they want. And maybe some of the questions they'll be more passionate about and others they won't. But like over time, you're going to get a breadth of incredible answers from your loved one. And a lot of the time it's stuff that you didn't even know about. I always think about it in the context of like an elder, but you can do it to like somebody younger also. Like you can do it to your kid who's in college if you miss them and you want to like learn about their experience or just like learn more about them. I don't know. Anybody who you think would be open to something like this, and you'd be surprised. Like once you get people writing, they're more likely to share more than they would if you're just talking. Sometimes you think you're rambling, you think, you know, and you don't want to burden people with all your stories and stuff sometimes. I know old people can kind of famously not care about that and they'll just tell you anyway. But regardless, you're going to end up unearthing stuff that you would never normally ask them. So it's almost like a moderator that helps you mine these incredible stories and experiences out of your loved one. And at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles them all into a keepsake hardcover book that you can keep forever. And I know that I plan, when I get those from my different loved ones, I've given it to my mom, and I intend to give it to some more of my relatives. I'm going to keep them all. And this is something that you pass down for generations. This is like this wonderful, this is something that you get in a museum someday, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It represents these moments in time that over time, it kind of goes from fact to specific experience. Then it just becomes myth and legend. But with this, you have it all right there forever. And it's a great way to pass on your legacy and your family's legacy, to understand where you come from and to help future generations understand where they come from. It is a great gift that we highly recommend here on Oops Podcast. With Storyworth, I'm giving those that I love the most a thoughtful, personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/oops and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/oops, STORYWORTH, storyworth.com/oops to save $10 on your first purchase. It's funny to get like a backhanded compliment, which sometimes like I understand why people don't always want to talk to fans at shows. I'm not like that. And even if what I'm about to describe happens to me, I still think like it's worth it to interact with the people who support you, even if they can like insult you accidentally or like make it about them. It's fine. You know, that's like part of what it is. You are this like thing to them. You know what I mean? It's inevitably going to be a little weird. And some of the people who are listening to the show, like you guys are the most likely to be normal of anybody that I interact with in this job. The people who I know from Pete stuff, like are way more likely to be weird. The people who randomly found me online are way more likely to be weird, but like the pod listeners really know me. So I love that. And it's not weird. People are like, is this weird that I know everything about you? I'm like, no, this is great. This is what it is.
Yeah.
But a friend of mine, and this is a comedian who told me this, which I don't think he meant to do this, but he was like, oh, my friend was saying that they loved your Afghanistan thing and they were watching back in your catalog and they watched, I guess, maybe some of the stuff you did in Ecuador. And they were saying like, wow, like crazy. Like he really figured out the production because, you know, there was this like indication that they just thought that those videos weren't good, which I very strongly disagree with. Like I think those videos are very good. Now, granted, it was a learning experience. It was like the first shoot like that I had ever done. The Rwanda thing, there's like a very specifically defined angle. With the Ecuador stuff, like we didn't have the camera stuff figured out. Like the shots weren't as good. I didn't have the eye down as well. Like when I was correcting some of the color and the lighting, like I didn't do a good job. Like I look at it now, I'm like, oh, that shot, I blew it out. I didn't need to do that. Blew it out. I mean, I made it too bright or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, I've certainly refined the look and the style, but I still think those videos are really good. Go watch them if you haven't. But so anyway.
Yeah.
I was all long-winded, but that's sort of.
Well, how'd that make you feel?
Bad.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah.
Offensive. And I was like, you know what, whatever. And people can have opinions about you and it's okay. You know what I mean? I think it's important to be able to handle feedback and not take it as gospel. And I remember even when I put those out, someone called me and was like, hey, like, you know, some constructive criticism. Like the reason why the Rwanda videos were so good was because there was this great angle. And, you know, if you're just kind of like going around doing stuff and there isn't really an angle, like it's not as interesting. I'm like, okay, that may be true to you, but like, I don't fully agree with that. I hear you and I kind of agree in general, but I'm happy with what we made. But all learning experience and all this is to say, sometimes knowing that you're going to put all this money and work into something and it's going to turn out to not be a huge mover of the needle can prevent someone from trying to begin with. Mm-hmm. And I, you know, encourage you all to not let stuff like that stop you from trying because A, I'm happy with the way those videos turned out ultimately. And B, I learned so much and I was able in doing that to be able to make the Iraq and Afghanistan videos then. The Nicaragua video I know came out after both of those, but I actually shot it before Iraq. And it's not as good as Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was all part of that whole learning experience. I'm still happy with how that video turned out too. So all that broader lesson is to go try, you'll learn, you'll get better, and you're not going to make your masterpiece the first time.
No fear of failure.
And don't try to top yourself every time too. That's another mistake that people make.
Hey, I need your help with something.
Please.
Can you scale this situation for me? Scale 1 to 10, how well it was handled.
Love it.
So I was with my family. We were in Jersey. Mobile ordered some coffee to Starbucks. I ordered a cafe, an iced Americano, and I went to go add coconut milk under the creamers section. But when you clicked on the creamers section to add your milk or milk alternative, it was blank, meaning that the store's app wasn't updated to let you customize.
Interesting. That's the thing.
That was new to me. Most stores you get to customize. I didn't even know the drop down menu was grayed off.
But is that okay? So and that's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was grayed off. I don't know why. I've been to this place and
in the past, have you done mobile orders and it was not grayed out?
No, and it was fine. Yeah, it was not grayed out.
Oh, interesting. Weird.
So in this case, so I ordered it anyway, and then my game plan walking in was just to, after I get my coffee, be like, hey, can I get a splash of coconut milk in this? And would just hope that that'd be enough. But if I needed to explain, the app wouldn't let me add it. And it's also, it doesn't cost more. So I thought that was pretty fair game. So I go in, I get the mobile order, and I'm standing there, and I notice that their location is very busy, and there are tons of people waiting for their pickup orders.
That may have been why the graying.
Yeah, potentially. And there was tons of people waiting for their pickup orders, and other people had notes and requests and needed modifications to their drinks that were already given out to them. Meanwhile,
Quick question.
Yeah.
Was the actual line busy too?
No, it was all just the mobile orders.
I hate that. I hate when everybody figured out the better way. Continue.
Yeah. And so, you know, I sense the panic. I sense the vibe, and it's not that great in the Starbucks. It's two baristas. It seems like a manager and then a girl in her late teens, early 20s. And she, like, scale 1 to 10, like, she's at an 8 in terms of anxiety and stress and pressure.
And this is a proper standalone Starbucks?
Yes. Okay. Proper, prim and proper.
Parking lot. All
and parking lot and everything. And so she's stressed out. And so I'm looking for a pocket. I'm looking for an opportunity for when she doesn't have something in her hands to say, hey, can I get a splash of coconut milk in this? And I wasn't getting the window. And I was there for a couple minutes turned into like 5 minutes. Now I'm holding up my parents, and they don't really, like, they're like...
Are they with you?
They're in the car. And I'm like, all right, I'm being a burden to my parents. I was
and
like,
were you proudly like, oh, I'll just do an online order, when they had thought, let's just go in and order?
No, my mom... My mom was like, hey, I'm doing a Starbucks order. What do you want?
Got it.
So she got it for me. Oh,
This is
that's
important.
how big.
Important detail.
So I got their drinks. I gave it to them. I go back inside. I was like, I got to get coconut milk. And so that's where I am. Now it's 5 minutes, and still she's holding different milks, and she's holding different ice cups, and she is just stressed out. And then she drops the frother, and milk goes everywhere. Hot milk, it goes into like the ice bucket.
Not your coconut milk, just general milk.
Just general milk, like a whole gallon. It just plopped. And so she started crying. And she was keeping it together, but she starts crying.
Oh my God.
And it's just her and the manager. And the manager is just like, oh, fuck. And she goes and she gets a towel. And I was like, there's no way I can ask for coconut milk right now, because there's so many other people staring at her like she's not a human, because they have their demands. They have their modifications that they want made. And I want a splash of coconut milk because I couldn't get it because it was grayed out on the app. And so I just left. Do you think there was an opportunity to get the coconut milk?
Two
given
questions.
that situation?
2 more questions. Number one, so it was a gallon of milk?
Yeah.
And did the entire thing go all over the floor, or did it like plop, explode, but land regularly?
It landed on its side, but so enough poured out where it would stop dripping. But I'd say there was like maybe like a third gone. 2/5 left, 40% of the container
left.
Yeah, because it was
and
on.
Was it completely full when it fell, or was it like close to full?
Close to full.
Okay.
Close to full.
Okay.
I had a good eye on it because I was literally looking for when she had a moment, and there just was no moment to just be like, "Hey, can I get coconut milk, please?" Like that was how fast Hey, can I get a splash of coconut milk?
Yeah.
Like that was it.
Question number 2.
Yeah.
Were you guys heading somewhere? Was there some sort of time sensitivity here, other than you not wanting to make them wait forever?
No time sensitivity.
And how long would you say, including when you went out to bring them their coffees to going back in, what was the total amount of time in the Starbucks?
Just under 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay. So I would give you a 7 out of 10 for this. I think that you get really good. You get like some extra credit so you didn't get the coconut milk. So you might be wondering, how could he possibly score a 7 if he didn't end up getting the thing? So I think we're looking big picture here. How did we handle this situation, all things considered? You brought the coffees to your parents, which was a really nice extra credit consideration. You also you saw the way that this insane congestion in the Starbucks was affecting this employee, and you're not putting it on the owner for not having enough people working. You're not blaming it. You're not like, oh, well, she should be. You're considerate of this person who's working there, who's overwhelmed. You get a couple extra credit points for that, but you didn't end up getting the coconut milk. Mm-hmm. So you get a couple demerits for that. You could have waited longer and gotten it. It doesn't seem like, boomers are patient. Like, I don't think your parents were in a rush by any stretch of the imagination. You sort of got worn down, which is fine. This is an important lesson to everybody. The key for negotiating is patience.
Yeah.
Which is why sometimes if you're doing like a proper negotiation, you try to make the environment as subtly uncomfortable for the person that you are negotiating with, because you will wear them down and they'll make concessions.
Yeah. So that requires a lot of like pacing, tiptoeing, leaning.
You're talking about the coffee situation.
Yeah. Leaning towards the counter, pacing in, dropping your head, looking to make some eye contact, constantly trying to make eye contact with the people. Like that's high energy. That does wear you down. So doing that for like 6 to 8 minutes.
It's a long time.
Everybody has, it's like when you're waiting at the bar. Like if you're not aggressive, you're going to be getting walked over and you're never going to be able to get a drink. If
Did you try going to the register?
I thought about that, but it was the manager. It was just the manager. She was taking orders. I wasn't as busy over there, but there was still a line. Mm-hmm. It was chaos.
7 out of 10.
Thanks.
Are you happy with that?
I'll take, yeah, I think.
What did you think you were going to get? What would you give yourself?
I'd give myself a 3 just because I didn't accomplish the task that I wanted to accomplish. And it seems like a simple task. Like you order a coffee, get it how you want it, but then all these circumstances pile on. And I try to fight against those circumstances and recover what I initially wanted. And I end up not getting it and then wasting people's time. Mm-hmm. So I walked out thinking a 3. Yes, there's valiance with those extra credit points that you gave to me, being nice to my parents and leaving the girl alone.
Yeah, like these are good core principles that are going to put you in a place where you're scoring high regularly, which is good for the sake of this.
Thank you. I hope so. Because I feel like a lot of these situations, I do the right thing, I do the polite thing, and I end up not getting what I want or compromising or losing the situation.
And look, you're fair. Like you're petty. You're not a bitch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you will walk out of Chipotle and when you are wronged.
Yes.
But in this situation, you're not being wronged. You are taking, this poor employee is overwhelmed. You know, it's a long day. She's spilling shit. It seems like that was the icing on the cake. And you're getting into a place where you're almost looking for an excuse to not wait. Where you're like, oh, she dropped it. You know what? This confirms what I was starting to lean toward. I'm out.
It made sense.
But I think a 7, you know, you tend to do pretty well in these situations, Lynch. You know what I mean?
Thank you. And I would have accepted and been chill about just drinking the coffee black, but I just don't want to stain my teeth. It was my second or third coffee of the day.
Yeah, and there's something there's something to be said about, and I feel you on that. But there's something to be said about the technique with how you reach the end goal. You know what I mean? The destination is not always ends justify the means in these situations. We're scoring, all things considered. And there is a world where you could be bolder in some of these situations. But if you were to be, you'd risk lower scores sometimes.
Yeah, high risk, high reward.
You might get a 10 sometimes, but you might get a 4 sometimes. So I think all in all, you are scoring pretty high on the regular here. So yeah, potential score of a 10, and you managed to get a 7. You could have gotten a 10 would have been somehow getting the coconut milk quickly.
Yeah.
Without being a dick.
Yeah. Maybe a big excuse me. And that would result in interrupting her. But
and look, her being annoyed with you doesn't necessarily give you demerits here.
I know.
So that's something to consider.
And I saw her a couple times down by the fridge, but she was holding other milks. I thought that was the appropriate time to ask, because no matter what I'm doing, I'm inconveniencing her. So let me do it when my inconvenience is at the most convenient location for her. Mm-hmm. But I didn't do that.
A milky girl indeed, Lynch.
Very milky.
A milky girl indeed.
Milky girl. So cool. Good to know.
Did you ever think to yourself that maybe you could get coconut milk later, like when you got wherever you were going?
I knew there wasn't any coconut milk at where we were going.
Got it.
Or any milk for that matter.
Yep, hate to see it. And you don't want to make an additional stop to buy a thing of coconut milk. Obviously, that's extra.
That's a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
That's too much.
This reminds me of something that happened when I was on vacation. I think I handled this situation properly.
Let's see.
So we were eating sushi, and at some point, a cockroach ended up on the plate. not the sushi plate, but on the individual plate that the sushi was being eaten off of. So say I had taken the sushi, put it on the plate.
It's on your plate.
Yes. I think Hill Dog and I were sharing a plate, and this cockroach is literally just walking on the plate toward the sushi, but it never gets on the sushi. It must have flown on and landed. I quickly sort of swiped it off. It got on the ground. I tried to stomp it, missed it, tried to stomp it, missed it, tried to stomp it, got it. Didn't say anything. Probably the move, right?
Did anyone notice?
Nope.
Did Hillary didn't notice the cockroach?
Nope, and I never told her.
There's no critiquing. There's no notes. I have
Pretty
no
good,
notes.
right? Pretty good. I was pretty happy with that.
And you were able to swing and miss twice without anyone noticing. And I'm assuming the urgency got increasingly more and more intense on each stomp.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us at the table,
Stomp,
and I wasn't
stomp,
like,
stomp.
I was just kind of like,
Little DDR.
got it, and then I did a little DDR, trying to do the swipe with the foot to make sure there's no evidence. Kicked whatever remains of that bastard were there.
Yeah. Now, you locked in. That's a 10 out of 10.
Thank you.
I'm sure there was a scenario that played out in your head of what would have happened if you did not do that exactly as you did it. What would have happened if Hill Dog saw the cockroach?
I think that it would have really like lingered in her brain for the rest of the trip.
Days.
Potentially. And look, like a lot of the time, this was a big one too. The good thing about the big ones is they're usually like solo actors. There's no like group of them. The small ones is when there's a bunch. The big ones, it's usually that's the only guy and you're good. And look, this kind of stuff can happen. Like vermin are everywhere and you just can't avoid them. So I didn't like put it on the restaurant. Or on the hotel. Like it just is what it was. I didn't see another one for the rest of the trip. And I just quickly put it out of my mind. Didn't say anything. I think that I actually moved the plate, but we were toward the end of the meal anyway. So it wasn't weird that I kind of like moved the plate out of the way. Nobody said anything. So
No notes. That's great.
love to see it, Lynch.
That's fabulous.
Simply love to see it.
Yeah. You mentioned papaya. Is it papaya or paella? Paella.
Paella.
Paella is like rice, right?
So yeah, paella, I think traditionally is like a mix of, I don't know if there's fish in it normally or not, but it's usually like sausage, chicken, and then sometimes also seafood, I think. I don't know for sure, which is a lot to me. I don't like mixing all those different meats. So I prefer like a quote seafood paella, which I think a paella purist would argue is not paella, but I just like a big rice thing seasoned the way it is with a variety of different seafoods in it.
Mm-hmm. I like the seafood paella as well. It's
great.
It reminds me of a very dangerous situation that Victoria and I put ourselves in at a hotel after a wedding.
Go on.
We were at a wedding. We stayed at a hotel afterwards, and we went to the bar. It was all my friends, and we're sitting there. We're drunk, and there wasn't that much food at the wedding, so, that was something. And we're sitting at a table in, like, the lobby, and this I don't know how we came into contact with this random guy, but we started talking to this random guy, and he was a chef. And he was telling us how he just got off work, and I don't know why he's at the hotel, but he said that he had some leftover paella, and he asked if Victoria and I wanted to have some.
Where were you?
New Jersey. Highway Hyatt Hotel somewhere. And Victoria and I, our guard was down, and we said, sure, we'd love some paella from you, strange man in the lobby. And so he's like, yeah, come up to my room, and I'll give it to you. We go up the elevator with this random guy, 4 stories, without telling a soul. And we go into his hotel room, and he opens up his mini fridge, and he gives us a tinfoil leftover package of seafood paella.
Just in tinfoil?
It was in one of those, like a to-go container.
Okay.
With the tinfoil lid.
The tin bottom and the plastic top.
Yes. He gives it to us, and we are deep in his hotel room, like by the window. That's where the mini fridge typically is. And he gave us the paella, and we said goodnight, and we left. And we went downstairs back to the lobby and ate the paella amongst our friends. And we didn't really realize until the next day how dangerous that could have been.
Were you guys drunk?
Very. Very.
Damn, that is sketchy.
That could have been something.
So the only thing I'll say is that like that would have been so reckless of that guy to like murder you there's cameras everywhere in hotels. presumably,
Yeah.
unless he knew for a fact there wasn't for some reason.
Or maybe he doesn't care.
Or maybe he's poisoning you, or maybe he doesn't care. Yeah.
Every once in a while when I'm scrolling on TikTok, I see this video of this guy in Vegas. He goes into the elevator with a woman, and then it time lapses to the next day where he's leaving with a big suitcase.
And you don't know what happened to the lady?
She's in the suitcase.
Really?
He probably knows that that's why he put her in a suitcase, because he knows there's cameras. So this chef could have,
Right. He could have been a criminal mastermind.
or he could have killed himself after. I don't know. You never know.
Jesus. Yeah, you're right, dude. Yeah, I think all things considered, sketch. Come up to my room. In theory, like, I think, first of all, I probably just wouldn't take it. But you're in New Jersey, your guard's down, you know your surroundings to some degree. It's not like you're in another country. And I think I would prefer him to bring it down to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be like, oh, are you going to come back down the lobby? And then if he said no, I'd probably just let it go. But I probably theoretically wouldn't take it. But to your point, you're drunk, different story. Like, but it's a good point. Like, you definitely had reason to be. As you guys were in the elevator, did you like side eye each other? Like, this is weird.
No.
You weren't
That's
even
the worst
thinking.
thing about it, is we didn't realize till the next day.
Those are the scenarios where you get got, where you're just like so comfortable for no reason.
Yeah.
Gotta be careful.
It's just a cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff happens to people. We got lucky.
So,
Yeah.
Lynch, I watched a movie on the plane. We talked about it briefly. Long Legs.
Yes.
I guess I don't want to spoil it for people, but
I don't know. Wait, you also didn't mention that you had the worst flight of your life.
oh yeah.
But we can put a pin in that.
No, we should talk about that. And also, I wouldn't be able to talk about Long Legs without spoiling it. It's a new enough movie that I don't want to spoil it.
It came out on June 16th. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Or July 16th.
Fair enough. But still, I regardless,
I'm come oning them.
Oh,
I'm not come oning you.
I don't want, but my note just gives it away. So I don't want to, I don't feel comfortable doing it.
We'll cut. What's the note?
The thing about like,
We've talked about stuff.
Okay, fine.
It's just like,
spoiler alert. If you plan to watch this movie, don't like fast forward a couple minutes here. But Long Legs, great movie. I really liked the way it was shot. I thought it was like super creepy. It was great. And to some degree, it followed the kind of Silence of the Lambs model where there are multiple bad guys. So like exposing who the bad guys are doesn't necessarily ruin the story in any way. Like you very early on get like a full frontal view of this Nicolas Cage character. I think I would have almost preferred it if you only saw that intro scene and then you finally see him again at the end. When's the last time you see him, as opposed to seeing him along the way.
Yeah.
I don't think that added anything. It's almost like you're feeling yourself, DJ. It's like it was his movie. He wanted himself to be in it more or something.
yeah.
Regardless, at the end, I thought that there was a great opportunity for it to seem like it was going to be the devil, but it turns out that the people were just crazy. I think that would have been a way cooler ending. And I was a little bummed out by the fact that it was like the devil in the end.
Yeah. Because it was marketed as like a psycho serial killer movie.
Which we love a twist marketing situation,
Yeah.
but I prefer it in the other direction.
Agreed.
I prefer you think it's the devil and it's not.
Agreed. I thought there was so many, so there's 3 acts. Nicolas Cage departs after the second act. And then the third act is all where it gets devilly and supernatural, or it fully commits to that just being the rest of the movie. The movie lost me when Nicolas Cage died. I'm not that receptive to the supernatural stuff. I don't really like that.
It seems like a cop-out.
Because there's so many movies that come out that are supernatural, all the religious stuff as of late, all the Conjuring spinoffs with Annabelle. Like, you know what you're getting when you go to see that. And if that's your cup of tea, like, go see that.
And that can be done really well.
Yeah, and it can be done well. Conjuring, there's a bunch.
Tons.
There's a bunch. So many. But I prefer not that
Yeah.
for a movie. So when I saw Psycho Serial Killer, Nicolas Cage, scariest performance of his career, I thought it was going to be like a Silence of the Lambs. I thought it was going to be like American Psycho.
And it very much was. And maybe that's, I couldn't help but think maybe that's why they did it. Because if they didn't, it would have literally just been Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Which I think that doing the bait and switch with you think it's the devil and it's not. And maybe we need to read more into it. Maybe there's something we're missing, but I don't think we are. Because, dude, like when it's this young female FBI agent, she has this sort of dramatic interview with Nicolas Cage, which is sort of like similar to the Hannibal Lecter interview. I mean, comparing the two movies doesn't do, like Silence of the Lambs is an absolute masterpiece. This movie's very, very good, to me at least. But definitely not the same. And maybe if it just went the traditional route, it would have just been a shittier Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate the subgenre shift mid-movie. But I think about, do you see Cabin in the Woods?
Oh, Cabin in the Woods is the one where like it just turns into kind of a satire.
Comedy. Yeah, so like I remember when I watched that, I think the trailers and commercials painted it to be a horror film.
Yeah.
And then the last half hour, it is like the silliest, most outlandish satire, comedy, whatever you want to call it. And like that's a true bait and switch, like full on like broad category switching,
Which makes it unique. It's a unique movie.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
It's good. It's a good movie.
I liked it a lot. But yeah, I just thought I thought we were getting something else. But I still really enjoyed watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Same. I liked it and I enjoyed watching it. This flight, actually, I watched that one on the way back. On the way down, we had extreme turbulence. They literally called it extreme turbulence or severe turbulence or whatever, which I've never, usually like if there's bad turbulence, they just call it moderate turbulence. And this, in a way, felt like they could have said, like, it was equal to like some of the worst turbulence that I've experienced, which they didn't call extreme turbulence. But it was interesting because it was pretty intense, pretty violent. But it's not like the masks popped down from the ceiling or anything, or like the beverage cart hit the ceiling or anything, but it was intense. And when it was like over, they literally were like, if you threw up, just please dispose of the doggy bag in the bathroom. They like made that announcement. And I wasn't sure if it was because people threw up or if it was because in those situations, sometimes people do throw up. Therefore, they were doing the protocol. But you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It was great to get through it.
Oh my God.
And while it was bad, I remember thinking, oh, but at least that didn't feel as bad as I thought extreme turbulence would feel.
Was there a collective, oh, from everybody?
Like a gasp, maybe it's a couple of moments, but I didn't see anybody crying. There wasn't like, oh, like nobody screamed, nobody panicked that I saw at least. Maybe people puked. But while it was definitely in the top 5 worst flights I've been on, it didn't feel like something that I couldn't handle again. Again, knock on wood. It was unpleasant ultimately and a little scary, but I just don't like turbulence. So, and some people like have a high tolerance for it. I really don't. I don't like it. When it starts, I'm like, I just close my eyes and I can't watch anything. I can't do anything. And I just take deep breaths and I'm like, this will be fine.
I just like accept death. I accept death. I'll listen to Coldplay and I accept death. And I'm like, here I go.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that helped me, I was sitting in the window seat and it was a daytime flight. So I kept my window open and just being able to see the horizon was very, very, very helpful. If it was nighttime and if all the windows were down, like I remember somebody told me a story where like it was really bad and somebody yelled, open your window, please open your window. And like, I didn't experience this firsthand, but I was like, that makes sense. I feel that way too. So those two things definitely helped me a bunch. And Hillary, so it's funny, Hillary and I were not sitting next to each other for whatever reason. And we were going to swap because there was a middle seat and she had a window. So she's like, oh, I'll just ask the middle person to switch. But the middle person was her sister who was sitting with her boyfriend. So she's not going to like, because she wasn't prepared now, make her sister not sit with her boyfriend. So I was like, is Hillary like freaking out during this? And I noticed at one point, Hillary's window opened. I just saw light come out. I was like, oh, Hillary is also feeling it. Because I think Hillary actually has a better tolerance for it than I do. But once it gets bad, then it switches. Like mild turbulence, I don't like, and she doesn't care. But when it starts to get a little shakier, then she'll like grab my hand really strongly.
Yeah.
So
You got to be a man.
I know. Well, it's looking like, Lynch, I'm going to break my flight record again against all odds. I think that the past 2 years, I hit 50 on the nose, if I'm not mistaken. But I think this year, at the very least, if everything goes according to plan, I will be at least 51, if not 52, depending on if my New Year's plans stand up. So
That's pretty great.
happy to see it.
Congrats.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Things no one cares about but me.
No, I think when Francis was here, I think you had more competition.
Yeah,
I think
right.
I'm at 15.
It's pretty solid, dude.
Yeah.
15.
That's a good PR for me.
Maybe that's more people than some people have flown in their entire lives. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but solid.
Yeah. Hey, before we go, we keep getting this comment on the YouTube channel. Every video, I think someone's just copying and pasting the question. And it was just, the question is, have you ever received a wedgie?
The answer is
And
yes.
I just want to answer so we don't get it. And we also keep getting comments.
Keep commenting the same thing, by the way. We don't care.
Yeah, well, someone keeps commenting the gayest things about me.
Nice.
Like, Ryan, I want to lick your butt. And
Pause.
Thanks for the comment.
Continue sexually harassing Lynch and continue commenting about
It is sexual harassment in the YouTube comments. So thank you for that. But have you ever given or received a wedgie?
Yes and yes.
Okay. We don't need to talk about it.
Yep. What about you?
No and no.
You've never gotten a wedgie and you've never done one to someone?
No.
Damn.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that's all you get.
Eat your heart out.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. All right. You know where to find us. We are, Lynch and I think, are in
This weekend.
Stamford this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, Friday night, 7 p.m., New York Comedy Club, Stamford. Come out. I think there's a couple tickets left for that one. So come check it out. We're excited for it. Should be great. My last road show of the year. Announcing some more dates for the new year soon. Hopefully, I definitely have Alaska at the very least, the 31st and the 1st, 31st of January, 1st of February, 4 shows. Should be great. Pull up to that if you're in Anchorage. And all the normal stuff at Oops Podcast, oopspodcast@gmail.com, Not Julio on Instagram, Not Julio G, Snap, and TikTok. Be sure to follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Oops Podcast, and my personal with all my travel stuff at youtube.com/Not Julio. For all my stuff, I'm planning to roll out more videos in the upcoming year. I'm very much looking forward to that. Lynch, what else?
Check me out at Ryan is Really Polite on all socials, and comment below what food would need to be offered to you in order for you to be willing to go to a stranger's hotel room to collect it.
Love that.
And we'll see you next week. Hope to see you this weekend.